Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, make it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him. Translation. The meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Bhagavad Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 10, chapters 1 through 8. Chapter 1. The Advent of Lord Krishna. Introduction. This chapter describes how Kaàsa, frightened by hearing an omen about his being killed by the 8th son of Devaki, decided to kill Devaki's son one after another. When the world became burdened by demoniac kings, Mother Earth, in the form of a cow, approached Lord Brahma, who prayed to Lord Vishnu for relief. The Lord assured that he himself would descend to remove the burden, and that the demigods should also take birth on earth in the Yadu dynasty. In Mathura, King Kaàsa drove the chariot of his sister Devaki and her husband Vasudeva after their marriage. Suddenly, a divine voice thundered from the sky. Kaàsa, the 8th child of Devaki, will be your death. Seized by fear, Kaàsa raised the sword to kill his sister, but Vasudeva reasoned gently, reminding him of the law of destiny. Still, Kaàsa's heart was darkened by envy. Vasudeva promised to bring him every child Devaki bore, and Kaàsa relented. One by one, as Devaki's sons were born, Kaàsa mercilessly killed them. Warned by Nanda that the demigods had appeared among the Yadus, Kaàsa imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva and awaited the birth of the divine child destined to end his tyranny. A verse from chapter 1 is text 4. Nivrittatasar upagi yamanad babasa chakchotra manobiradmat ka utama sloka gunavadat Puman virayeta vina pasunat. Translation. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Chapter 2. Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. As described in this chapter, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered the womb of Devaki to kill Kaàsa, all the demigods understood that the Lord was living within Devaki's womb. When Kaàsa, empowered by his father-in-law Jarasandha and aided by fierce demons, began to torment the Yadu dynasty, many Yadus fled to distant kingdoms for refuge. After Kaàsa cruelly killed Devaki's first 6 sons, the divine serpent, Anantadev, entered her womb. But by Yogamaya's power was transferred to Rohini, becoming Lord Balaram. Then the Supreme Lord himself appeared in the heart of Vasudeva, and from there entered the heart of Devaki. As her divine pregnancy grew, her beauty and effulgence illuminated the prison. Thus constantly haunted by the thought of the Lord who would soon appear, even Kaàsa became absorbed in Krishna consciousness, proving that the Lord's presence purifies all, friend and foe alike. A verse from chapter 2 is text 16. Bhagavan api visvatma bhaktanam abhayankara avivesamas bhagena amanakadububihe. Translation. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supersoul of all living entities and who vanquishes all the fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudeva in full opulence. Chapter 3. The birth of Lord Krishna. As described in this chapter, Krishna, in his original form, appeared as Vishnu so that his father and mother could understand that their son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Devaki, being fully transcendental, gave birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his 4-armed Vishnu form. Vasudeva and Devaki, overjoyed, offered prayers and charity to the Brahmins. To protect the Lord from Kaàsa and hide his divine form, Devaki prayed that he appear as an ordinary child. The Lord reminded them that this was his 3rd appearance as their son, after Krishnagarbha and Vamanadeva. Yogamaya, born as a daughter of Yasoda, facilitated Vasudeva's escape from the prison. Vasudeva carried the infant Krishna to Gokul, exchanging him with Yogamaya and returning to the prison. This act ensured Krishna's protection and the fulfillment of his divine pastimes. A verse from chapter 3 is text 11. Savismayo pula vilochano harim sutam vilokyanaka dubidushtita Krishna bhaktarosava sambramo sparsan buddha vidbebyo yutam apluto gavam. Translation. When Vasudeva saw his extraordinary son, his eyes were struck with wonder. In transcendental jubilation, he mentally collected 10,000 cows and distributed them among the Brahmins as a transcendental festival. Chapter 4. The Atrocities of King Kaàsa. This chapter describes how Kaàsa, following the advice of his demoniac friends, considered the persecution of small children to be very diplomatic. After Vasudeva bound himself in iron shackles, Yogamaya appeared as a crying newborn, alerting the prison guards that Devaki had given birth. Kaàsa rushed to kill the child, but the infant slipped from his hands and transformed into the 8-armed goddess Durga, who declared his enemy had been born elsewhere. Realizing that the prophecy about his death would not be fulfilled by this child, Kaàsa released Devaki and Vasudeva, admitted the wrongness of his past atrocities, and sought their forgiveness. Despite his pious forgiveness, Kaàsa consulted his demoniac ministers, who advised him to kill all the children born in the past 10 days in the kingdom and continue persecuting saintly people, demigods, and devotees of Vishnu. Following their advice, Kaàsa unleashed widespread atrocities across Vrajabhumi. A verse from chapter 4 is text 9. Satad vastat samuttatya sadyo devyam varam gata adrishyatanuja vishnu sadhu hashta mahabhuja. Translation. The child, Yogamaya Devi, the younger sister of Lord Vishnu, slipped upward from Kaàsa's hands and appeared in the sky as Devi, the goddess Durga, with 8 arms, completely equipped with weapons. Chapter 5. The meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva. As described in this chapter, Nanda Maharaj very gorgeously performed the birth ceremony for his newborn child. He then went to Kaàsa to pay taxes due and meet his intimate friend Vasudeva. Vrindavan was overflowing with joy at the birth of Krishna, and everyone celebrated with love and devotion. Maharaj Nanda held a grand birth ceremony, giving generously to all present, sharing his happiness with the community. After the festivities, he entrusted the cowherd men with the protection of Gokula and traveled to Mathura to pay taxes to Kaàsa. There he met his brother Vasudeva, who praised Nanda's good fortune in being Krishna's father. Though he grieved for the children Devaki had lost to Kaàsa, Nanda comforted him, explaining that destiny governs all events and the wise are not disturbed by them. Anticipating potential troubles in Gokul, Vasudeva advised Nanda to return home quickly. A verse from chapter 5 is text 28. Pumsastri Vargo Vihita Surido Yanubhavita Natesu Klishamanesu Trivargo Rasya Kalpate. Translation. When one's friends and relatives are properly situated, one's religion, economic development, and sense gratification, as described in the Vedic literatures, are beneficial. Otherwise, if one's friends and relatives are in distress, these 3 cannot offer any happiness. Chapter 6. The killing of the demon Putana. While Nanda, the king of Braja, was thinking about Vasudeva's words concerning disturbances in Gokula, he was a little afraid and sought shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Hari. Meanwhile, Kaàsa sent the demoness Putana, who roamed the villages killing children. Using her mystic powers, she disguised herself as a beautiful woman and entered baby Krishna's room and offered Krishna her poisoned breast. But Krishna, fully divine, sucked so forcefully that Putana's true form was revealed, and she died instantly. Remarkably, because Krishna had touched her, she was purified of all sins and attained the Lord's abode. The cowherd men were amazed and praised Vasudeva's foresight, while Nanda Maharaj, filled with joy and relief, held Krishna safely to his lap. This episode shows that even enemies of Krishna, through contact with him, ultimately attain spiritual success. A verse from chapter 6 is text 9. Tam tiksna chitam avamana chestitam vikshantara kosa parichihas dasivat param striyam tat prabhaya cha darsate nikshamane janani yatishta hatam. Translation. Putana, Raksasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like a very affectionate mother. Thus, she resembled a sharp sword and a soft sheath. Although seeing her within the room, Yasoda and Rohini, overwhelmed by her beauty, did not stop her, but remained silent because she treated the child like a mother. Chapter 7. The killing of the demon Trnavarta. When Sukadeva Goswami saw that Maharaj Pariksit was eagerly awaiting to hear about Lord Krishna's pastimes of a child, he was very much pleased, and he continued to speak. When 3-month-old Krishna was sleeping, Yasoda placed him under a household cart during the ceremony. After awakening and desiring his mother, he kicked the cart, causing it to collapse. Mother Yasoda hurried to him and took him on her lap. Another day, while holding Krishna, she noticed the child suddenly assuming the weight of the entire universe and had to lay him down. At that moment, Trnavarta, a demon sent by Kaàsa, carried Krishna away in a whirlwind. But the divine child held him so tightly that he caused the demon to fall to his death. The gopis picked up Krishna and safely returned him to Mother Yasoda. Later, when the child was on the lap of Mother Yasoda, the child yawned, and Mother Yasoda could see within his mouth the entire universal manifestation. A verse from chapter 7 is text 6. Atunakti kausukta mana manasvini samagatam pujati prajakusa ainashrodvayi ruditam sutashyasa rudan sanarthi karnavudaksipat. Translation. The liberal Mother Yasoda, absorbed in celebrating the Uttama ceremony, was busy receiving guests, worshiping them with all respect and offering them clothing, cows, garlands, and grain. Thus she could not hear the child crying for his mother. At that time, child Krishna, demanding to drink the milk of his mother's breast, angrily threw his legs upward. That is the end of chapters 1 through 7.